Hey, I'm Jeremy, for those of you who don't know. LeapMotion, so this is the thing that I'm going to be talking about, and I happen to have one here with me. So, little backstory real quick. This thing it came out a while ago, but when it first came out, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool, but I don't think I'd ever spend the money to actually get one. And then I seen a friend of mine who was selling one on Rumger for 40 bucks. I was like, that's cheap. Why not? Sure, I'll take a look at it. Anyway, so I got to pull up my slides here. How does this work? Boom. All right, so talking about LeapMotion and Ruby, because, you know, why not? You know. All right, done. Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Yes. So, what is this thing? What is this little thing? This right here. This is the LeapMotion. So notice it's teeny, tiny. Got to be careful before you put a freaking smudge on it. Jeez. So if you put a smudge on it, it actually complains at you and says, "Hey, there's a smudge on it." So it's pretty annoying, but nice. Anyway, this is the little thing. It's an external USB controller. So it actually does come with USB cable. Boom, that's the whole thing right there. And it's used for doing some fancy stuff with your hands and everything.
Camera.
What?
That's it. Stand over there.
Oh, yeah?
Thank you for showing us something.
Okay, I guess the camera's over here. So anyway, so you plug it in, USB into your computer, and it allows you to do some pretty cool, nifty little hand gestures. So the whole idea behind it is there's 3 sensors and 2 cameras. And so you go and you sit it like right in front of your computer, and then it picks up hand gestures. So you can do all kinds of different stuff. So you could say like, you know, if I go, you know, right to left, then flip the page of a book, you know, if I'm using like an ebook or whatever, or maybe go back a page or move a window around or whatever. There is another device, kind of similar idea, concept or whatever, the Microsoft Connect. The major difference between these though, one, you know, Microsoft Connect is a little bit larger, but the Microsoft Connect looks at a large range, like a room, to detect full body motion. So the Connect can actually detect, you know, like arms, legs, and all this kind of stuff. This thing is tiny, so it can't really do that. You know, I can sit there and point at David or whatever, but it's not going to be able to pick up like what's his, you know, legs, head, and all this kind of stuff. This thing is actually a ton more precise than the Connect. Because it's a lot more precise, you can do stuff like it. Let's say you're holding chopsticks, for example. So, you know, very, very small points. It can pick up each individual chopstick. So that would allow you to, you know, kind of control and get a little bit technical there. So it uses this whole like 3D access. You got your X, Y, Z, and all this kind of stuff. What it does is it creates this little dome over the top of the device. So it makes this little dome, I want to say up to 1 meter or so. And depending on how close you are or where your hand is positioned, then it can translate that. So you can do all kinds of fun stuff. Waste time like a champ. Fruit Ninja. I was pissed off when I seen this too. Freaking Windows only. So I haven't actually been able to play it. But if you guys seen that game, like Cut the Rope, I have it on my iPhone, but Cut the Rope, there is a version of that I do have. So yes, it does come on Mac. But yeah, they have all these different ones. You can see some Windows, some, you know, Mac, whatever. Beat Bash, OS 10, yes, score. And it obviously works on all the different systems. I didn't see any like little penguin icons or anything like that, but it does run on Linux. So these are the system requirements. So if your system meets these requirements, then $80 or $70 or $48 if you find it online. Could be yours. But you can also learn stuff too. It's not just games, although I guess games would be the main purpose. That's kind of why I got it, was to play games. But you can learn cool stuff. There's like this human thingy, so you can rip, ribs off and check out the little beating heart and all this kind of stuff, molecules. You can kind of move them around. And the whole idea is like you got this whole 3D space, and then, with your hands, you're kind of minority reporting your whole interface. Glad some of you guys got that. Yeah, and this is actually a small screenshot. I didn't want to include the whole thing. They have a store though, and the whole idea of the store is, some of them cost money, some of them are free, but you can download, all these different games, and they have tons of different categories, family stuff, and all that. So it picks up certain things. It picks up gestures, and then it has these things called pointables, which refers to your hands or your individual fingers. So if you're like this, with making two fists over it, actually sometimes I have to tuck my thumbs in, because it actually picks up my thumbs as a additional pointer. But if you're like this with two fists over it, then it'll say that you have two pointables, but then it'll actually reference two hand objects, and it'll pick up that there are actually two hands. And then you come like this and spread your fingers out, and it'll pick up each individual finger. So it'll say you have two hand objects, but each hand object has 5 pointables and the pointers. And likewise, if you're using chopsticks or 2 pencils or something like that, it actually picks up that they're not your fingers and they're actually separate tools. So you can kind of manipulate all that kind of stuff. The gestures it picks up are circles. So if you actually move your hand in a circle, it will pick that up. Swiping left to right. Key tapping, actually doing this, and that doesn't really work out so well, but I guess you could do. There's actually apps there for like virtual keyboard where you're like this, and I tried to program that way, and it didn't work out very well. I couldn't even type my name. I was like, no, come on. And then screen tap, so going this way versus going this way. All right, so this was sort of a last minute presentation, so I didn't really put together too much here. All right, let me go ahead and plug this thing in. Where's my USB? All right, here we go. All right, yes, that is the end of that. Okay, so you can come here. There's you can watch some videos, and oh, you know what? You know what? The one thing I hate about this, my hands get tired sitting there like this. I'm like, so yeah, they don't like show too much about that.
What was that again?
Hey, you have to not be lazy. Anyway, so if you look at the dev, they have a nice little documentation and this kind of stuff. They have these different APIs. You see the browse by language though. Kind of makes me sad. C++, C#, Objective-C, Java. Screw you guys. Your C stuff. JavaScript, Python. All right. So obviously they're not really fans of Ruby. That's all right. We have there's actually a gem. There's a few gems out there for doing that sort of stuff. Plug this thing in. Let's see if it complains about there being a smudge. All right, so it is plugged in. Should see a little icon pop up there, and I got a green light. Can you guys all see that? So this little thing up here. Cool. Well, it's not complaining that there is any smudges, so I am good to go on this thing. Launch my airspace. The odd thing, though, is like this airspace, you can't control it through doing this. I don't know why they didn't do that. move around and stuff like that, and using my finger. If I put other fingers out, it starts to get a little weird. So anyway, so that's just an example of that one game. They have quite a few different things. There's this one game on here though. This one, this thing, addicting. Fun. Let me say about that. Let me show you this one too. This one kind of shows a little bit more of what it does and everything. Kind of odd music, right? Kind of reminds me of Mist. You guys remember Mist? So, here you go. So, you can see it actually picks it up. Picks up fingers. So, yeah, it's kind of cool. Now, kind of to get into the whole Ruby portion, now that I'm at the very end of my whole presentation. Interfacing with this thing is actually pretty simple. This little green icon thingy up here, when you run this application, it actually boots up a WebSocket server on some port or whatever. And all you have to do is just connect to the WebSocket server and then use WebSockets. So you can use like LeapMotion, which is, I'm pretty sure that's what this thing uses. Of course it's in the GemSpec, huh? GemSpec. The event machine in here? There you go. Yeah, the event manager and WebSocket client, whatever. Anyway, so here's an example. Let me blow this up. Okay, cool. So I connect and make sure that the green thing is on, and then I just say on the gestures, go ahead and run through the thing. And does this actually work? I haven't done this in a while. There you go. So now it stops. It's going crazy because it's still picking up my recent gestures. Kill that. Let me, I don't remember what this stuff did. But we'll run this anyway and see what it does. So there you go. You can see a bunch of stuff. Really, all this is doing though is when you connect to the WebSocket server, it actually just spits JSON at you. And this thing runs through HashiMash and just converts the JSON into some objects. But you can see it has the direction, your palm position, your sphere radius is kind of like this thing. It makes a little ball. And you can see the X, Y, and Z positions in each one of these arrays and everything. So that's all that is. But yeah, super easy to connect to and everything like that. I did try doing another example here. I started doing this, haven't really gotten too much into it. But the idea is to be able to use it with a 3D space. Did it crash yet? It's going to crash. It's obviously not going that well. It started though. There it goes. Oh, there's my crash. I don't know how to get past that yet. The main thing is it runs at 300 frames a second, which video games do not run at. So obviously I have more work to do on. Questions? Yes, you in the back with the cap and the red shirt. All right, that's my presentation. So.